My story begins from birth. Growing up, the church was just who we were. It was my parents were very active. We were very active. I think I started singing in the choir when I was 10. It was just a part of our everyday life. It was it was our community. It was our friendships. It wasn't forced on us. It was just, my parents prayed with us every night. I'm very, very blessed because we just had very strong Christian background with my grandmothers, who were just both salt of the earth, just backbone of the world kind of people, and my parents as well. And so they just instilled in us the love of the Lord at a very young age. My sister and I were very close. I don't remember life without her because I was 15 months old when she was born. My mom said that I had never really paid any attention to babies before, but when Anna was born, I knew she was mine. Anna was 15, I was 16. It was December of 1998, and we had been working with my parents that day, and we went to a church basketball game. So on the way home, we were in an accident. A friend was with us. I don't really remember anything from the actual accident, but I do remember when I started waking up, I was very fuzzy. I'd had a head injury and my memory was shot. But I saw my brothers, I saw my mom and my dad. So where's Anna? She was the next, where is she? And I just remember constantly, where is she? It was the first time in my life that I had gone through anything without her. And we were 15, 16, but I remember just feeling very lonely because she wasn't with me, and I had a lot of people. The people in the church were there, and they did not leave our sides. Our parents didn't leave our sides, but just a very lonely world without her. The first reports obviously were kind of crazy. They told my parents, just to get the funeral plans ready for my sister. There's no way she would make it. I looked very critical. They couldn't find my eyeball, and I had a closed head injury. My hip was broken. My mom said that I would constantly ask, what happened? What is going on? What is this? How did I get here? Whose car was I driving? What is going on? But it would always end, and where's Anna? I need Anna. Where is Anna? And it's after we got in the accident December 11th, by December 26th, my parents decided that it was time, that I got to see her, but she was unconscious still, 15 days. And there's so little that I remember from the hospital, but I remember them wheeling me in to see her for the first time. And I just thought she was asleep because she likes to sleep. I remember putting my hands on her face and saying a little prayer for her, and she opened her eyes for the very first time. Well, for me, I had no idea she was still unconscious, so I just thought she was waking up and looking at me. And the doctors and nurses and my parents start crying, and my mom runs out of the room, and she's just looking at me so confused. I'm looking at her so confused. And now I know what a precious moment that was. But in that moment, I had no idea what was going on. Where my eye had been damaged and sewn back together, I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't really keep my eyes open for very long. It just burned a lot, and I was very fuzzy with my head injury. I had to learn how to do a lot of things again. I wasn't as happy as everyone else was, but I pretended because people would want us to come and speak in their church, and it was kind of like, oh, you're better, then you're better. You were alive, so that means that everything's better. But for me, it was so far from that, and it was many years before I would accept that I wasn't better. Many years, high school, college. I gave my testimony probably 500 times in college, but I wasn't better. I was still dealing with a lot of depression, a lot of guilt, a tremendous amount of anger. I just felt like maybe I did something wrong. I had checked the boxes. I thought what the boxes you're supposed to check: be a good little Christian girl, go to Christian Bible college, make straight A's, sing in the church, do all those things, go on mission trips. We did all of that. And I felt like, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong for this to happen? But in the end, it was late in my 30s before I started realizing I didn't do anything wrong. It's just, we live in a fallen world. I moved to Myrtle Beach in 2005. I worked on computers because I didn't have to look at people if I did that. I had convinced myself that I was an introvert. I had convinced myself because it hurt to talk to people, and I was embarrassed, and my face was still damaged. And I would try different churches and go to different churches, but it's just difficult as an adult to get involved, especially if you just don't feel very valuable. I knew no one. The first year that I lived here, I basically watched reruns of Friends. I don't know. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends. I just worked and came home and hung out and enjoyed that freedom. And I did finally meet some friends, and it felt awesome to have a community, anyone to call on Friday night and get up with and go to dinner with. And slowly but surely, I made more friends in the Myrtle Beach scene. Going out was just a part of life, and because I was in so much pain, drinking became, I had to do that to slow my reaction time down so that my eyes wouldn't hurt. I knew that I was getting in too deep, but it felt so good to have people who wanted to be around, or wanted to be around me. I was funny. I was sarcastic. That's how I dealt with things, and that was how I coped. My eye, it had been 10, 11 years, and I knew eventually that I would have to have it removed, but it got to the point I had no quality of life. I was in so much pain. I went to the doctor once a month. This particular visit, the surgeon was in town, and he just said, "Amber, are you ready?" And I was like, yeah. It is a very emotional, traumatic thing to make a decision to let go of a part of your body, even though it was damaged. And that's another guilt thing I had, growing up in the church, another thing, you just feel like, well, if I pray hard enough, the Lord is going to come through. If I fast enough, the Lord's going to answer my prayer, and some divine healing is going to take place, or some surgery is going to come out, and I'm going to save my eye. And finally I gave up because I was in pain. And he scheduled it in like 2 weeks. And this was something I had put off for 11 years. And I think that was a long time. It was a long time even after that I felt okay about that I felt like I didn't give up on the Lord. I just accepted what happened. I think you just make the best of things as they come, and the Lord gives you strength in those times, and he turns things for good. And he doesn't promise us a perfect, easy life. That surgery was very painful. It was the worst pain I had ever been in my life. It felt like a firecracker being shot into your eye socket. It was horrible. But in the days after, I had never felt that good. And I started journaling because I just felt so lonely, and I needed to open up to the Lord. And I think for the first time in my life, that was when I started going back even to the wreck and saying, I was upset, but I didn't have time to be upset because people wanted me to share my testimony. I was nowhere near being healed when I was sharing my testimony all over the world. I was not dead, but I was really going through a lot mentally. And the guilt that was there was just paralyzing for many years. And when I started journaling, that's really when I opened my relationship up with the Lord as an adult, and just being very transparent. I tried out a few churches, and that's really when I started coming to Wellspring. There was just a lot of draw there. I still was very quiet. It took me a little while to get to know people. And then I joined the prayer team. And I think when I joined the prayer team at Wellspring is when things changed for me, because that's when I met those salt of the earth people. It's just the people that love you, they like truly love you, the people that I grew up with, the people that I didn't think existed anymore. That for me is when I really started feeling a part of something. And I'm a computer person, and I'm not married. When I finally felt like real life people that loved me outside of my family, and outside of my college friends, that was huge. I just really never knew that people would ever exist like that. It's hard to find friends as an adult. It's hard to find community as an adult. But when I found that, and people remembered my name and remembered what I had asked them to pray about the week before, that was huge for me. And people really do care. And that's really started becoming a changing point in my life, that I knew there were people that are going to look forward to seeing me, and I look forward to seeing them. My name is Amber, and my life is better because Jesus is in it.